Hello and welcome to Beachao. Now today is a little bit special because of two reasons. I am first of all reconnecting myself with Audi India. I drove the A4 quite a long time and after that were not able to connect on other cars. And the second reason is this, the Audi e-tron. This is the car that I am going to be having with me for the whole day today. I am going to try taking this car in Mumbai city traffic as well as roads a little bit outside where I can see how the car drives. Not a very long drive, it's going to be probably the next 7 to 8 hours, but that should be good enough to give me an idea about how this car is in the city as well as driving on some open roads. So visually the biggest difference that you will see on the car is the front grille. The coolest feature on the outside of this car though for me is this, the way this thing retracts and comes out. You press this button and the charging socket opens up. Looks awesome. From most angles and most sides, you don't really make out the difference. You can't really tell if this is the e-tron or if it's a petrol powered car, a diesel powered car or an electric car. And I think Audi has kind of did that on purpose so that this vehicle can kind of gel in with the rest of their line and you don't feel conspicuous of standing out, of being the person who uses an electric car or uses a petrol or a diesel. So it sort of blends in with the rest of the cars. The ground clearance on this car also looks pretty decent. I mean, I was a little worried that because being an EV, it might be a little too low, but that doesn't look like the case. It's got pretty decent ground clearance. The battery packs are obviously underneath on the floorboard and you can see there's a slight bulge. Hang on, I'll just go closer. While from the distance, if I come a little far away, while from a distance you might see and feel that there is substantial amount of ground clearance. The reality is slightly a bit different because when you go close and when you go under, there's actually a massive bulge that protrudes out, and if you count that in, that actually reduces your ground clearance quite a lot. So that is one of the main things that I am looking forward to test out, because this is mostly going to be a city use car for urban commute. I'm really curious to see how this car takes Mumbai roads, it takes Mumbai traffic, as well as the very mathematically undefined speed breakers that we generally come across on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, let's hop in and take it out for a drive. Okay, before we head out though, let's just have a quick look on the inside, where it is pretty much typical Audi. Everything is very nice and crisp, looks and feels very well built and very well put together. I feel in today's day, overall, considering the interior build quality and the materials used, I think Audi does the best job between the three big Germans. The interiors look really good in this car and it's got massive screens everywhere. Your climate control is a screen. The entire infotainment, of course, is a screen. Nowadays, every car has that. And the instrument cluster is also an entire screen. Massive amounts of screen over here on the inside, and in general, man, as I said, the build quality in this car feels really good and the design of the interiors feel really nice. You feel that you're sitting in something sporty, something sharp, something angular, something which is meant to give you more driving fun even while it is stationary. That's how it feels over here on the inside. The door handles, everything, you've got those angles and cuts in it. It just feels great. I think it's one of the most forward-thinking interiors out of all the three Germans as well. Also, it's got some really nice bits, like for example, the gear selector is not like a regular gear selector. It's like a big handle which you can grab onto and then press it into gear, press it out of gear, put it in reverse. And even the central storage looks quite nice. It's very different. It's got a wireless charging mat on the left side where you can put your phone. Then on the right side, you've got a lot of storage space. You have a cover which you can completely cover it up and hide things underneath, and you also have cup holders that fold and go inside whenever you don't want them, and you can unlock them whenever you need them, although I can't figure out how to do that. So just give me a sec. They're manual, so you just have to pull them out. Then you also have a small cubby hole over here in the central console for more storage, not very big. On top of it, you've got an armrest which moves front and back to give you maximum adjustability as per your convenience. 4-zone climate control, basically 2 at the front, 2 at the back. So this car gives a range of about 340-330 kilometers fully charged, real world range. So I am hoping that I'm not going to be obviously completing that entire range, but I'm hoping that whatever distance we actually travel versus whatever range it shows when we are back, it kind of relates to each other. Alright, so let's strap in and head out for a drive. So I've selected this one place which is quite close by as well, and the reason why I've selected that place is because it's a wildlife sanctuary and should have good roads, should be nice, and it's going to give us a good idea about how this car behaves not only in the city but also some twisty roads as well. So time to set up our GPS and head out. Gear selector is damn funky. It's so spooky with these electric cars, you know. I mean, I have driven quite a few electric cars from the brakes are really sharp on this car, especially at low speeds as of now. Brakes are very sharp. I'm trying to take it slow over speed breakers because I don't know, because of that battery pack bulging out, I don't really know how much ground clearance we do have available in hand. So I'm going to take it a little slow and a little careful. Although what I was saying is, even after driving quite a few electric cars, so I've driven this, before this I drove the ZS EV, I drove the Tesla Model S, I've driven an E2O, and have I driven any other car? I don't think so. So even after driving quite a few electric cars, especially the ZS EV, which was with me for about 4 days, I drove it to Mumbai, I spent like a couple of days over here, good times. It's still very spooky and it's still very weird, and I, at least for one, have still not got used to the quietness of not having an engine idling or revving at the front. It just feels eerily spooky in here, and specifically with this car because this is a premium car and it's got incredible sound deadening. That's one of the best parts about Audis. They have one of the best sound deadenings out of all cars, and because of that sound deadening, I really can't hear or feel anything that's going on the outside. And sitting over here in the inside, the only thing that I can actually listen to is the sound of the fan from the air conditioning. EVs make so much of sense in the city, especially if you're driving maybe 100-120 kilometers at max throughout the day, or even more as well. EVs make so much of sense, and they kind of completely make you tension free in terms of fuel costs, in terms of like maintenance, service. And if you're just going from point A to B every day, like office, home, why do you need to spend fuel on that? If it was me, it was me and if I had the money, I would rather buy an EV for day-to-day use. It's quiet, it's comfortable, it doesn't cost you anything literally. And whatever money I save from spending on fuel, I get myself a nice car for the weekend, a good petrol car. Maybe not afford a V8. If I could, a V8 would be great. If not, at least a straight 6 or a straight 4, whatever fits my pocket. Alright, so till now I came across some really decent quality, good quality roads, and the comfort in the car is incredible. Obviously the sound deadening is great, but at the same time the suspensions are really nice in absorbing the bumps. Feels very comfortable in here, feels very quiet, no thuds, nothing. And now we are across some bad patch of road where also I am quite confident that I don't have to bother obviously too much because I have the ground clearance at my advantage. But along with that as well, it just takes all the bad roads, no problems at all. It's very comfortable. One good part I like about this car's infotainment system is that everything has a haptic feedback. So although almost all functionality is been assigned to the touch screens, both the touch screens have haptic feedback, so you know exactly how many times you've clicked on it and how many times that operation has been performed. Really good. You have 3 settings for your drive selection, where you can take it from economy to normal comfort mode as well as dynamic mode. So I've just set up the steering to be on comfort, and the steering's become insanely light. It's become so nice and so maneuverable. Same, I've set up the suspensions to comfort. The suspensions are performing great. Okay, over bad roads, this car is supremely comfortable. It's just such a nice glidey, bouncy ride. Like for example now, it's fine. Don't bother. Just keep moving on. Oh, also this looks nice. This car actually has a heads-up display where you not only see your speed, it also tells you the directions, what you need to do, as well as which road you're on. Pretty informative. Alright, so we've got to a little bit of kind of a twisty section of road. So I'm going to switch the settings of comfort now and head into dynamic. Not the most optimum place to have dynamic mode on as of now, but now that it's on, I'll keep it on because this is a very small patch, which is bad. Okay, good road. The acceleration is great. The body stability is also very, very nice for a car this size and this height. The stability of the body is quite good. The suspensions, although they are still more tuned towards comfort, they are still offering good amount of stability. They are offering good amount of stiffness where there is not too much of body roll. Again, bad road. So we will continue in dynamic. Dynamic does feel a little harsh when you're on bad roads. Best to switch it to comfort and the suspensions will loosen up to give you that really, really nice and smooth ride over bad patches of road. Inside over here, the cabin, you are very comfortable. You are very relaxed. You're not being thrown around all over the place. Things are nice and calm. So not bad. Even on dynamic mode, as I said, even on dynamic mode, the suspensions are tuned to give you more comfort rather than proper outright dynamics. So in that way, this car works really well on our kind of roads where we are right now. And picks up really, really well. Bad breaker, let's see. No problem, we cleared it out without an issue. And then when you come across a nice empty stretch where you want to overtake, just plop your foot down. Overtaking on this car is rapid. Overtaking is insanely rapid on this car. Braking though, however, feels a little, I won't say underwhelming, but it feels a little cumbersome for the car because obviously it's a heavy car. The brakes are doing extra effort to stop it or slow it down. So it does feel a little cumbersome, although it stops regardless. Okay, but this is what happens when you're trying to go fast and using the performance of an EV. I was at 300 kilometers of range, and within maybe about 2 kilometers of me just trying to get some performance out of the car, going a little hard on the throttle, the range has dropped to 267. So I've lost almost about 30 kilometers in a span of 2 kilometers just by driving the way I do. So most of the car, even in dynamic setup, is still tuned for comfort, and that's the reason why the suspensions are still not extremely harsh. They are not extremely stiff. They are somewhere set on a middle ground. And same goes with the steering as well. The steering is not very, very heavy. It's still slightly on the lighter side, and that makes maneuverability easy, while at the same time you get a decent amount of feedback from it. Although I wouldn't say it's the most effective when it comes to providing you feedback. That said, it is still good enough. Now in terms of lightness, this does not feel light because of course it isn't. It feels like a heavy SUV and it takes effort when you're chucking it into corners. It's not very light-footed. The best part of having an EV is that even if there is a very, very small gap, you just put your foot down on the pedal and you can make it. It's just so quick off the line. So this here is the 55 Quattro, which means that it's got 664 Newton meters of torque and it's got about 404 horsepower. Those numbers are good enough to get this car to 100 kilometers per hour from standstill in 5.7 seconds. Not bad for such a heavy car. So as my day comes to an end with the Audi e-tron, I just want to give you a few numbers. I took the car out at about 8:30 in the morning and right now it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had the car for approximately about 6 hours. So the total distance that I covered today was 94 kilometers as per the readout over here. And when I started off with this car, it was showing me a range of 330. Right now it's showing me a range of 198. Now I have to tell you that I was obviously not driving. Normally I was not driving in economy mode most of the times. I tried the economy mode for the first maybe 10, 12, 15 kilometers, but then after that I switched to dynamic mode, and I've been in dynamic mode since then, which means that I used about 132 kilometers of range while driving 94 kilometers, which actually is quite accurate, because the way I was driving, I was overtaking people. I did decent speeds while I was on the twisty sections of road. I was actually going quite fast as well. So I was actually using the car like how we would use on a day-to-day basis, and I was not at all being generous on preserving the battery at all. Having a difference of about 30-35 kilometers is not so bad. With that said, this actually overall felt like a great car to drive. As I said, the build quality of Audis, absolutely brilliant. Audis have one of the most comfortable suspensions as well as steering setups, especially for road conditions like we have over here in India. On top of that, the range accuracy of the car is also pretty good. So overall, I think that this car makes a lot of sense, apart from the price it comes at. That is something we really can't do anything about because of the duty structure and because of how cars are taxed over here. But if it was anything else, it would have been a really, really great car. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to catch you in the next one. Till then, ciao.